You go to the hospital to get well from an illness or injury, but hospital patients are often exposed to infections that can make their conditions even worse. But now an Arizona biotech company is offering a faster way to diagnose such infections and speed treatment. Lawrence Marin is the CEO of Accelerate Diagnostics. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So how serious is the problem of contracting an infection once you're at the hospital?
Well, it's quite serious. It's one of the biggest public health threats that we face. Over 100,000 people in the U.S. will die each year from a hospital-acquired infection, and 1 million more will have serious complications. This costs the health system about $25 billion a year. Most alarming is that for every 100 people that go into a hospital, 5 will get a hospital-acquired infection.
Larry, why are hospitals such a breeding ground for these superbugs?
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, I wouldn't blame the institutions. Most of them take extremely aggressive measures to control infections. It's really about biology. And what I mean by biology is that these hospital-acquired infections are typically driven by bacteria. And bacteria are living organisms. They evolve like all living organisms. They try to survive. And bacteria that live in hospitals are living in a high-threat environment.
So they get stronger.
They get stronger. They are subjected to disinfectants and UV light, and most importantly, antibiotics. And those that live become extremely tough. They become resistant. They're called multiple drug-resistant organisms, or superbugs.
In other words, it's a breeding ground, so it's perfect to make them stronger. I want to ask, though, when you need treatment, you need it right now. But it takes a while to grow these cultures, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. I mean, interestingly, a study was done about 3 years ago that showed that for every hour that somebody with sepsis, which is a serious blood infection, is on improper treatment, their risk of mortality grows by 7.5%. So you can imagine that it's only a few hours until these patients are beyond reach.
So what are you doing now to try to change the treatment?
Well, look, in the 1880s, Professor Koch and his colleague, Professor Petrie, invented microbiology. And today, using this century-old technique, clinical microbiologists, who are really heroes in my opinion, streak a patient specimen onto this Petri dish that you see here, and put that in an incubator. Wait for those microbes to divide over and over and over again until there's tens of millions, so you can actually see it visually.
And usually this takes typically days. You're trying to cut this down to hours?
That's right. It takes 3 or 4 days. And by then, for these patients that are wrestling with these tough infections, many of them, unfortunately, are already gone. We are trying to cut it down to hours.
We have to ask a guy who specializes in making hospitals safer what people can do if they're a patient in the hospital. Is there anything you can do to be proactive in the fight?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not a physician, but I can tell you I just had an infection, and I think the best ways are what the CDC recommends.
Keep your hands clean. Get smart about antibiotics. Know the signs and symptoms of an infection.
Absolutely, that's right.
Lawrence Marin, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.